Good morning and welcome to the USDOT Region IX panel discussion entitled Activating a Green Region, One Intersection at a Time. We appreciate your participation. My name is Patrick and I'll be your operator for today's call. If you should have any questions during the call, please submit them using the button below the presentation screen. Panel member will get back to you promptly after discussion has ended. In addition, you will notice the second button entitled Supporting Materials below, which you can select now or throughout the presentation to download the recently completed case study conducted in National City, California. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin today's discussion as we turn the floor over to our moderator. Let me now introduce to you former U.S. Congressman and Chairman for the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure, Mr. Jim Oberstar.
Hi, I'm Jim Oberstar, moderator for today's discussion of best practices and lessons learned in establishing regional plans for efficient mutual aid strategies and safety in U.S. Department of Transportation Region IX. First, a warm welcome to our panelists and a heartfelt thank you for taking time from your city duties to participate in this discussion and share with a wider audience your wealth of experience in two categories. First, traffic management, emergency response planning, and transit operations. And our second category, safety, for the people whom you serve in Region 9, and safety also for first responders are there when emergency strikes and evacuation is necessary, fire, police, ambulance, and transit. We also want to explore operation of the command centers throughout the country where traffic management professionals apply skill and experience to assure safe, efficient operations. Most of the people we serve don't see and don't know very much about the extent of the laborious planning and dry runs in which transportation professionals and local elected officials like Mayor Ron Morrison engage to ensure safety and efficiency. I've learned from my 48 years of public service, including tenure as chair of the Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure of the U.S. House of Representatives, that the people rely on us, those whom they've elected, and those professionals whom we in elective office have enlisted to do the planning and the preparation for them. Tuesday's East Coast earthquake, which centered right around the Washington, D.C. area, our nation's capital, offered a sharp reminder of the urgency of planning, of preparation for the unexpected and the unforeseen. I offer just a brief snapshot of what happened in the nation's capital. Each of the events provided emergency planners with there was a challenge in providing the public with a steady stream of information about conditions. Ron Kirby of the Metropolitan Transit Authority, none of us felt like we had adequate information on the service level at Metro until we were already jammed on the train. Command centers in the district and Maryland and Virginia, as well as the regional council governments, were working at top speed to share transportation information. Rail riders had delays because crews had to inspect tracks, bridges, and tunnels before anything could be started up to operate in the aftermath of that earthquake. And the Post further reported that the Washington Traffic Center said if everyone were to head for home at once in an emergency, the major arteries and rail lines would not be able to handle the volume. There are only a handful of major arteries to Maryland, and plans call for, but apparently we're not prepared to handle the favoring of outbound flow and speeding of traffic through key intersections. That's what happened just 2 days ago. Hurricane Irene is heading toward us, advancing rapidly, and the preparedness of the region will be tested once again. Arizona had a stunning encounter, the mayor may want to share with us, with a dust storm reminiscent of the 1930 Dust Bowl era. And 4 years ago this month, the I-35W bridge collapsed in Minneapolis. The city was prepared because Mayor Rybeck put all of the city personnel, emergency responders, city operators, transit systems, through a preparedness drill within the year before the bridge collapsed, not ever knowing that that would happen, but needing to prepare for it. So in that context, we have a distinguished panel of professionals, including Mayor Ron Morrison of National City, Frank Pera, the Emergency Services Director for National City, Steve Manganiello, Traffic Management for National City, Arthur Dock, Traffic Management ITS Analyst for the City of Mesa, Arizona, and Bruce McGregor, who is also the Fire Deputy in Mesa. So let us begin the discussion, and let me begin with Mayor Morrison on issues that you consider to be primary of concern specific to Region 9.
Well, thank you for the introduction. Indeed, there is a combination of both positive things going on and then challenges that counteract that. Luckily, within our area, we are a one-county cog with Sandag, so that allows for a lot of cooperation, and particularly in the area of police and fire. We started what was called the ARGIS system here, the Automated Regional Justice Information System, which created instant information sharing between all of our public safety vehicles within the county. And so this has allowed basically a good framework for the regional cooperation that we have and the information sharing. And so between that and then our 211 system here of once again sharing to the public and getting information out in the reverse dialing emergency systems has allowed for a really good system of cooperation. You know, you're still going to have within our county here in particular, all of our cities are very compact and up against each other. And so there's basically one side of the street is one city and the other is another city. This, of course, always is going to cause confusion and problems with coordination just by its very nature. Although we've been able to overcome a lot of that, that is still going to be a large cause for a lot of concerns. As I say, these are things that are being worked on. I know that both Steve and Frank, I know we're going to be addressing some of these on how that we're working with these different agencies to make a lot of this much, much smoother than certainly anything that we've seen in the past.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Frank Pera, Director of Emergency Services for National City. Give us your thoughts in a capsule.
You know, I think the mayor brought up a key point. You know, San Diego County is a very diverse community. Although compact, you know, in less than an hour you can be at the ocean, and an hour later you can be in the deserts. You know, we face a varied number of emergency challenges, you know, from a tsunami warning on the coast to earthquake warning to, you know, wildfires, you know, that we faced in 03 and 07. So I think that, you know, that regional cooperation and training is really key to addressing many of these issues and concerns.
Thank you. And Steve Manganiello, would you give us your thoughts?
Sure. Well, you know, my area of expertise is, you know, traffic management, and you know, as Mayor Morrison alluded, in San Diego County, we're fortunate that Sandag, which is our San Diego Association of Governments, they provide a lot of opportunities for all the agencies to talk to one another. For example, we have a traffic engineers council where we meet once a month and talk about what's working, what's not, new technologies. So I think, you know, as far as challenges, to have an efficient and effective traffic system from a safety and operations standpoint, you often have to cross jurisdictional boundaries. So kind of having these methods for communicating with other cities and other engineers and safety officials, you know, it's a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And you know, later on, you know, I'll be happy to go into some details of some regional efforts that are really helping making that smooth transition across busy corridors from one city to the next.
You said something very important there, and I hope you'll come back to it later. Your Traffic Engineers Council and once-a-month meeting. I think that's very important for us all to keep in mind as we go through this discussion. And from Mesa, Arizona, Arthur Dock, can you give us your thought as IT analyst for the city of Mesa?
Yes, I'm an ITS analyst, and just like Steve previously was saying, it's about traffic management, and I see, to tag on to what the mayor had said there, that citizens don't necessarily see borders, they just see and expect seamless service. They just need service. So we need to know each other, know our different cities, work together, and realize there are different goals and capabilities of the different cities. And that's always a bit of a challenge because different people, different cities have different ideas of how they want to do things. But if we work together, we can find those mutual things that we can make it work properly so that the citizens get what they expect, which is seamless service. And we do have the occasional odd events such as the large dust storm, or every year we get our monsoons, and so those things throw little challenges at us as far as keeping equipment up and going. But again, you work together and keep it all running.
Thank you for that reference. I did make a point of that later on. Bruce McGregor.
I just wanted to kind of add on to what all the previous speakers have said, is that basically what we do is we work as a region. In the Phoenix metro area that we reside in, we're one of approximately 30 cities that participate in a very robust automatic aid system. And we send the closest fire truck or appropriate resource to an incident. And so with that being said, we also need to be able to get them there efficiently. Recently, we noticed that one of our challenges was that we have a lot of different traffic preemption systems and traffic systems throughout the eastern portion of our region, and so we realized that we needed to band together and promote a common operating system seamlessly from city to city. And we were very fortunate all of the transportation departments and fire departments were willing to get together and work on a regional committee.
That is very good to hear and very important, and a theme that we want to explore further. Let us move on to discussion of those regional challenges, and I think Mr. McGregor, Deputy Chief, Fire, just touched on that very well. Fire transportation preemption systems and a common operating technology. So discuss why that's important and how for traffic management and also for emergency management.
Well, basically, with any type of emergency response, the thing that we're most concerned about is getting the appropriate resources to an incident to take care of the incident with the in the most timely manner. And one of the important things for us is actually getting our crews from the fire station or from wherever they're located to the incident in the shortest amount of time. Time basically means, it means that a fire is going to be reduced, or a person's health is going to be maintained at a higher level if we can get there quicker and take care of any emergency that they're involved in. So as part of that, we look at what methods we use to get people to calls. Most of our emergency incidents, we respond code 3 with lights and sirens. Well, that alone is not enough to get us there in an efficient time frame. So we add a couple of different tools into play, global positioning systems, CAD systems, and traffic preemption to help us get appropriate resources, navigating on our main response corridors, and capturing the traffic signal or preempting the traffic signal to give us a green light so that we don't have as many starts and stops and we save time responding to an incident.
I think that's a very, very good and very succinct discussion. Mayor Morrison, from your standpoint of traffic preemption and coordination and commonality of systems, what do you experience in your discussion with your counterparts, mayors and other elected persons in the region?
Well, this is always a challenge in keeping up with the new technologies, and and then getting all of your different cities on board. As I stated, we're very compact here with the cities around us. Our city is a land area of 7 square miles and with a 60,000 population, and then we have immediately on two sides of it, city of San Diego, and then on the other one is the city of Chula Vista, which is our second largest city in our county, and then the Bay on our fourth side. So it's very compact, and so and through our city goes through major corridors, and we have 3 major freeways going through our city. So as you have all of that, without having that system of coordination, and I think the biggest problem is you always have some cities that are going to be ahead of others on technology, and then you're trying to coordinate, whether if it's the old 900 megahertz system, or now with the new traffic signalization. So that's why I think the regional meetings and the constant regional meetings, I know within our, what we call our South Bay cities within our county, we get together, our mayors and managers get together on a once-a-month basis to deal with these issues. I know that both our fire and our police chiefs do the same thing. And then, of course, with using our regional COG, Sandag, getting all of them together and having a public safety element to that also. And so one of the major components of Sandag is public safety. So we get all the police chiefs, fire chiefs, the medical providers, transport providers all together to meet on these different issues. But as I say, trying to keep everyone on the same level of technology is always going to be the difficult problem.
Well, let's move on that very point to Arthur Dock, ITS analyst. Yeah, that's your specialty. Tell us what you experience on the working end of traffic preemption systems and the need for commonality and how you can mesh these various systems with each other.
Yeah, actually that goes back a long ways and it gets a little complicated, but we do have those issues where different cities have different technologies, and even if they have the same brand of technology, some of them have different generations of that technology. So one of the challenges I started on many years ago was coming up with ways to take, okay, what do we have, this common technology, what, for example, coding will work from the oldest to the newest, so we can you could call it least common denominator, but that isn't really what it's about. It's about picking out the way that makes it work across the board. Then you throw in the additional challenges. We even have one of the local cities is home to a different product manufacturer, and they use a different product. So getting that connectivity working as it needs to, because again, people that expect service don't worry about borders, they just want the service to work. So those are the kind of challenges we're up to and against. We also have issues within the cities, but we work together to help each other out with that. How do we get the other cities up to the more current technology? How do we take these ideas we have for common coding schemes so the system works seamlessly across the border and get them out to the field in the different cities? Some cities, such as ours, we have the technology to do that from our central location. Some of the other cities do not have that. And then you have bigger cities, smaller cities. So there's a lot of these little things, but we help each other out and share information and make it happen.
Steve Manganiello, hearing that discussion as a traffic specialist, tell us what experience you have and what counsel you might have for other regions in the country who need to develop this commonality and ability of systems to speak to each other and work with each other.
Well, I think, as I started to talk about earlier, having this traffic engineers council that's hosted through Sandag, it's a good first step. And one of the large-scale regional projects that came out of those discussions was being able to have all 18 cities in the county of San Diego on the same regional traffic network. And what I mean by that is, as you cross from one jurisdiction to the other, say on a busy corridor, what we have set up now through years of coordination and grants and what have you is through a fiber optics network, wireless communications. We all have ability in real time to view our own signals and our neighboring jurisdiction signals to see how things are working. So it really makes it a lot easier for us collectively to identify problem areas, talk to one another about changing timing plans. It helps us with incident management. We can coordinate, from one city to the next on implementing, pre-designed plans for incident management. So I think having had that success from the traffic signal standpoint, the next step is really bringing the new technologies for signal priority and kind of complementing that system. And so the fact that over the last 10 years we've been able to implement that, I think the next step with signal priority will also, show some positive benefits. And I think other areas of the country can definitely, learn that if you put in the time and you have these regional meetings and organizations, it makes it a lot easier to get everyone talking together.
That's very important to hear, and that getting people together to talk about it's one of the lessons of 9/11, that even within one city, within one jurisdiction, the police and the fire weren't able to talk with each other consistently, and because of what was said earlier by Arthur Dock, even the same brand may have different generations of technology. So let me ask Chief McGregor and Frank Para, what do you experience when you set a vehicle out and they're crossing into another jurisdiction and they may not have the same or compatible technology for a fire truck or emergency responder health services? What have you experienced, and how do you cope with it?
Frank, I'll let you go first.
Thank you there, Chief. I think we're all broaching the point of really talking about doing things the same. In San Diego County, National City works closely with, San Diego County fire chiefs. We also meet monthly to talk about streamlining and really doing things the same. We recently directed our operations chief to come back and really streamline key operating policies and procedures such as RIC and accountability, communication. And along with that, in San Diego County, we're also doing a RECEP program, or it's the Regional CAD Interoperability Project. And all the fire chiefs in San Diego County made a commitment to really drop our borders, to drop any delays in our dispatch system and to send the closest unit to that emergency. So in and around National City, we respond closely in and out, mutual aid with San Diego, Chula Vista, Bonita, and even Fed Fire and Coronado. So, this technology is really key. We're all talking about making sure that we can move forward, because for fire, it's really all about, reducing and coordinating those response times and those mutual aid responses across jurisdictions. And of course, for fire, our key is to really confine or respond to that fire incident, to keep that fire in the room of origin. But a majority of the work, 80% of the work we do is medical related, whether it be traffic accident, chest pain, shortness of breath, CPR, stroke. And it's really reducing those response times so we can make a significant difference in the health and well-being, of the patients that we're responding to, whether it's reducing that CPR time, getting that early defibrillation, or, defining that stroke patient so we can get into the hospital in the shortest amount of time. So, I think this technology moving forward is really key, because it's all about, getting the right resource, to the right patient in the right manner. And I think Deputy Chief McGregor, hit the nail on the head when he brought that up. So.
Well, thank you very much for that observation, Frank Para. You included a reference to Coronado, and I've been to Coronado at least 2, maybe 3 times during my tenure with the Transportation Committee. And you have a limited access and a limited egress from that island. It's a magnificent facility, but if you don't have the right equipment to get in and out, and it works in one place but doesn't work in the other, as you said just a moment ago, lives are at stake, and health is your primary concern. I appreciate you referencing that. Chief McGregor?
I'd like to just echo what Frank has said, is that everything that he said is really key reasons that we participate in traffic preemption and participate in regional organizations. So one of the things also that we look at a region is that currently with our automatic aid, we only have two departments that have full access to our traffic preemption system because it's coded. With the regional committee, we're working not only to make sure that we streamline how the systems work so we can train the firefighters one way and it will work seamlessly throughout the 10 cities that we are responding in, as well as making it safer for the citizens. Because when our responders are out there going to an emergency call, that's one of the highest periods in their day to be involved in an emergency themselves. Traffic accidents with emergency vehicles never go well. We're much larger than most other vehicles. It's harder to stop if you're going too fast. And so because of that, we need to find ways and continue to find additional technologies to help us alert our citizens out there when we are coming down the road, and also being able to trigger those intersections so that we can have a green light well in advance of approaching an intersection, so that we can limit the time it takes to navigate through the intersections, which are the most hazardous for us and in our driving.
That is so well said. Thank you. This is Jim Oberstar, continuing our discussion of a green region, one intersection at a time. Not all cities leverage solutions like traffic signal priority control. I'd like to have our panel discuss state-of-the-art technology to close the gap in financing in these times of reduced transportation budgets. And Mayor Morrison, you're on the front line of budgets. I know how hard it is for mayors. I've talked with so many over my years of service in the Congress, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on state-of-the-art technology, closing the gap in financing, all in the context of a reduced transportation budget, and how these systems can save cities money.
Well, I think, first of all, realizing, there is a ton of technology out there. There's a ton of products out there. You go to any of these conferences, and you'll get bombarded by everyone who has, their technology of the moment and their product of the moment. I think we have to be, very careful in sifting through these and to see what is going to work best for our individual region, and not get caught up on trying to do how many that we do, but to find those ones that are going to have the biggest impact. All too often, and you're speaking to me as a mayor, as politicians, all too often we like to have, a lot of programs, a lot of photo opportunities, everything else, and it gives a lot of sense of false promise. During this time particularly during this time, I think, of the economic times, I think that we need to be very discreet in, as we look through these programs, making sure that anything that we come forward with is much more than just a promise, but that people get to see some legitimate results. To be honest with you, they should see the results even before they hear about the promotion. And so, in many times in the past, during good times, we spend a lot of time promoting a lot of different products. I think in this time, discretion is the much better part of valor here, and we need to take a look at those things that make the impact, and then make sure that we're carrying through with them. I know in our case with National City, we have been very upfront with our people. We're just a low-income city, yet at the same time, they've come to trust us. And when we say, hey, we'd like to do something, and instead of saying, well, why, and all, the question comes up more when. And that's a trust I think we as politicians need to build up with within our constituencies.
I think that's very, very well said, and to that I would add adaptability and develop and selecting system that is a platform that is manageable into the future, so that you're not caught up in what was referenced earlier, a different generation of a particular technology, which makes previous iterations of it obsolete or inoperable or not interoperable. And so as you select systems, you said so well, be discreet about it, be careful, see the results before the promotion, but also see something that's going to be adaptable out into the future. A painful lesson learned in air traffic control, I must say, from my years of chairing the aviation subcommittee, pushing the FAA and its contractors to develop a platform system that can accommodate future technology advances. And that's on the ground is what we need to do. Let me go on to Frank Pera and Arthur Dock. What are your thoughts about this subject of state-of-the-art technology?
Well, for us here in National City, being able to pilot this new GPS Opticom system is really beneficial to the citizens, to the fire department, to be able to reduce our response time, and being able to show this to different agencies and to leverage partnership opportunities in regards to grants, so that we can all work together as a region to reach out for those limited grant dollars to help us streamline and develop a system that really promotes the greater good and allows for financing options that we can all work together to obtain. So,
thank you, Arthur Dock.
Sure. In our case, we have a large deployment of not the GPS, but the previous technology. However, what we can do and are doing is doing things that are backwards compatible. In other words, move forward in logical incremental steps. Because one of the things we don't want to do is break the compatibility with what we have out there, because we have to support the existing vehicles and the existing infrastructure. So that's the big challenge that we're facing, but that's also we can benefit the public by not having to forklift change out the entire thing, not just in Mesa, but regionally. So that's the real key, is being fiscally reasonable with this.
Thank you. Steve Manganiello and Chief McGregor, what thoughts would you like to contribute?
Well, I'd like to, this is Steve Manganiello, I'd like to just kind of piggyback on what the other speakers have mentioned. I mean, obviously with the financial constraints that we're all subject to nowadays, I think you're going to start seeing more of a shift to pilot programs, which is what Frank mentioned. We're currently participating in with the new, GPS Opticom technology, and I think the advantages of going that route rather than even if you have the funding, purchasing a mass quantity of a new technology is you get to establish it on a high priority corridor and really test it, with your police, fire, engineering, work with the manufacturer to work out the bugs and really get a better understanding of what the capabilities are and see some actual results. And it buys you some time and it allows you to better manage your funding and what your priorities are. So I think, again, in this time, I think you're going to see, throughout the country that may be a real sound approach to experiencing new technologies.
Thank you. Chief McGregor?
I would say that budgeting is one of the most important things for us. Like everybody else has said prior, that every city, every organization they're always at a different level in their budgetary process, and so we have different fiscal years. We have different challenges depending on how our organizations are funded. And so that is one of the challenges that we have today here in Mesa, is that we are trying to retrofit and put in some new technology, and we have to go out and touch every single intersection. You know, it takes man hours, it takes equipment, and in order to get that streamlined operation to be in line with all the rest of the cities that are part of our project, you know, we're having to extend funding to do that. And so I think that's probably one of the cooperation's already there. It just, you know, funding the plan seems to be one of our biggest challenges.
And when you select a system that really is interoperable, interconnective, does, in your experience, does that save costs and save personnel time?
Well, I think if the more common equipment you have, the better off the region is. But it's also important that the systems have common interoperability as well. And you know, here in our system, we have, you know, like Arthur had says, we have multiple generations of our traffic preemption equipment out there. And as we are putting in centralized software, connecting our intersections to a central location for management, we're having to replace a lot of, you know, early generation equipment. And so even replacing equipment to modernize it, you know, we have to fund that as well.
From my experience over years of transportation, nearly 40% of accidents occur at intersections. What technology upgrades have you experienced and are you using to make access to and through intersections safer? Let me ask Mayor Morrison to begin.
Well, in our case, we just began a pilot program of, instead of going over to the old line of sight mechanisms that we use, because our city has a lot of hills, a lot of curves, and so you come up on intersections. It's not all too often. It's not until the very last moment that light is able to connect with the piece of emergency equipment to know that piece of equipment is there. And so the response times and the changing of the light sometimes is way too quick. By going over to a GPS system, it takes away the line of sight. And so from a much longer distance and around curves, over hills, whatever might be the thing that might get in the way, this takes that out of the picture. So the response times to allow that light change to happen is much better now with this new system. As I say, we're currently just rolling this out as a pilot project, and we're hopeful to bring that out into the entire region then.
That's such a very important thought and observation, and it's important for rural areas as well as urban. 50% of highway fatalities occur in rural roads, and half of those who die on rural roads are urbanites, not accustomed to travel on roads that don't have straight line of sight visibility. We have hills and curves, and you have little or no shoulder and little striping or outmoded, faded striping, and where emergency vehicles have to operate without effective line of sight, and where GPS saves time and saves lives. Let me ask any others who want to comment on this aspect of the issue of intersections and technology upgrades to make them safer.
Sure, Frank Parr here in National City. The only thing I would add to the mayor's comment, and obviously he has a fabulous grasp of the new technology, is that, you know, by doing that early signal interruption, it allows for the normal traffic pattern to occur, meaning the lights, you know, go through their normal cycle. It allows for that traffic, you know, to get through, you know, and as Deputy Chief McGregor said, it's not easy to slow down, you know, that large fire truck. So it really enhances not only, you know, by helping reduce our response time, but it makes it safer for not just the first responders, but for, you know, people traveling the roads and for that pedestrian to get across that intersection safely, much before that fire engine or the police vehicle or the ambulance arrives to that intersection.
This is Arthur Doc. I'll add to that as well that, yes, we've been using the line of sight system since roughly 1987, and there are some challenges with that older technology as far as having to put advanced detection on locations where you have curves, where you can't get that good straight line of sight to get sufficient advanced detection of the vehicle. So we've been lucky, though, at least in Mesa in general, the streets are fairly level and fairly straight, but there are those challenging locations. I know that Chief McGregor is well aware of some of the locations, and that's where the newer technology will eventually help us. But in the interim, we have implemented, for example, at the exit of fire station, a way to place an advance call of a signal around a corner, because that is exactly the kind of problem you can have, and you want to keep that timing normal if you absolutely can, because there are some agencies that have done modifications where they drop out of the normal signal function, which can be not too pedestrian friendly, for example. So there are challenges, and we've risen to those challenges again by figuring out ways to make the older technology work, and that's part of the challenge too, is the fact that we have a lot of the older technology. We have several hundred intersections equipped, so we'll keep doing that as best we can, and then look at the newer technology and then incrementally bring it in.
Wonderful. That's very keen. Others who want to make a comment on that subject?
This is Bruce McGregor. One of the other areas that we get challenged with is the location of our stations. As Arthur had mentioned, we have our Fire Station 1 that is on a secondary street. And so when we have crews pull out of that station, they have a receiver across the street that triggers the first light for them. And then they make approximately 80 yards away, they're 80 yards away from the intersection. So when they trigger that one, they make a right-hand turn, they have another intersection that's less than 100 yards down the road. And so triggering that second intersection was a challenge for us. And the second intersection is also one of the most hazardous ones that we have in our city. There's a building that is fairly close to a sidewalk. The building has been there for a long time, and obviously as the roads get widened, it takes away our pedestrian space and also takes away our visibility. And so with those, the location of our stations, as we kind of get pushed out of sight of the rest of the business areas, it makes it more challenging for us to trigger those immediate lights away from a fire station.
And does GPS help in that? Is that a big improvement over other technologies? I think that's what we've heard previously.
That is one of the things that we're going to be experimenting with to try some of the newer types of emitters out there, so that we can trigger from a longer distance away, and also when we get the signal from the CAD system, and we know that we're going to be heading south on a particular road or north on a particular road, that it can activate it well ahead and capture the green light for us by the time we get there.
This is Arthur again. That same intersection, to add additional challenge, on the positive side, I suppose you could say the building that blocks the line of sight will be going away, but the reason it's going away is because that street is going to have light rail installed on it. So definitely enhancing the technology is something we're going to be moving forward with. That intersection actually does have part of the equipment for the GPS system already installed, and as we go forward, I'm sure we'll be investigating that, because it's going to make a challenging intersection is going to become even more challenging in the future. So you have to adapt and apply better tools.
Well, certainly with light rail coming in, which you certainly want for relief of traffic congestion, but that also presents another challenge for your traffic preemption. This is Jim Oberstar continuing our discussion with our third segment, looking back and learning from experience and looking ahead. I would ask the panel and challenge the panel to think of advice based on past experience, sharing your experiences with surrounding cities to build stronger, integrated mutual aid strategies. Prospectively, do you have innovations planned?
Let me go to Mayor Morrison and get your thoughts of framing this discussion.
Well, I think approach that from a couple different ways. One is from the technology standpoint, as I just mentioned, with the GPS systems and coordinating that with the cities around us, because even going from one area of their city to another, all too often, if they're not on mutual aid, they're going through our city just for the idea of saving of time. So, those things are important to get those technologies together and work on that. I think even more important, as far as from a municipality standpoint, all too often we have a reluctance to cooperate with others. It's kind of giving up some of your self-control. But I think there is so much more to be gained, and I think that's as I work with cities throughout the United States, I've seen this is that here in San Diego we do have a good model that has worked together as far as the cities coming together on a constant basis and giving up some of our control, and by doing that we end up with so many more possibilities. So there's that fear of giving up that local control and giving up some of your own your own opportunities. You open up so many more opportunities if you get that real sense of cooperation. And so I would highly recommend that you end up with more of those interagency meetings, that you end up with more, whether you're using your Congress of Governments or whatever vehicle is there for you, is to bring those different elements together.
So, safety. Let me invite others to comment. Our technology specialist, Arthur Dock, Frank Para. Begin with you.
Frank Para, National City. This being the 10-year anniversary of September 11th, I think that this technology is just one more piece, in the bigger goal. The San Diego region, is more prepared than we were on September 11th. We now have a new robust anti-terrorism program, and significant improvements have been made in the past 10 years. And the level of collaboration in our region is unique. Both the city, county, state, federal and private agencies in San Diego plan, train, and exercise together as a region. And I think our goal ultimately is to help prevent and prepare for, respond to, and recover from, all natural and man-made disasters that could impact San Diego County. And so I just think this is, part of that global discussion moving forward and part of the greater plan.
Does the proximity of the naval base add further urgency to your need to develop anti-terrorism planning, training, and exercises?
Oh, absolutely. San Diego County has developed a Unified Disaster Council that includes, the Board of Supervisors as the chair and fire chiefs from all 18 cities, to help manage regional safety planning and mitigation, as well as the coordination of Homeland Security grants used to pay for equipment and training.
Excellent. Arthur?
Yeah, the big events luckily don't happen very often, and that kind of falls in line with the good concept of planning for the worst but hoping for the best, and of course not just hoping but actually making the best things happen. There's a lot of people behind the scenes that make that happen. The reality is there's hundreds of times per day that our emergency services personnel are using the system, so we need to cooperate together to make those events happen smoothly. And sharing ideas, sharing budgets, certainly if we kind of smell grant money, so to speak, share that information and then go out there and get that and then use it efficiently to take care of it in the whole region, not just in the local city.
Very good. Chief McGregor, hello.
This is Bruce McGregor with Mesa. I'd just like to say that, we try and practice every day like we're going to play on any event. And so our everyday responses, that's what we're trying to improve when we go from city to city. One of the additional ways that we're looking to really reduce the risk to firefighters and to the citizens when we respond to an incident is to try and take some of those code 3 responses where we'd normally go lights and sirens with traffic preemption and respond without lights and sirens but with a shielded traffic preemption, so that we can carry the green light in transportation mode a little bit longer, to get through the intersection. So we still reduce our time getting to the call, but we don't have to put really anybody at risk to do that. And so that's one of our biggest challenges that we have today. I think that on the big incidents, we also in the Phoenix metro region, we have all different types of specialties where we train monthly. We have monthly meetings organizing everything that we do. And so I think that as we find some other tools like the shielded type of response where the citizens don't necessarily know that we're capturing that turn signal, but we can do it and be able to respond just a little bit quicker without having to go the full lights and sirens route. I think that's one of the things in our future that will benefit us the most.
Steve, do you have a contribution?
Probably the biggest piece of advice I could give to other agencies is from an engineering perspective, that is make the time to work with your police and fire department, your emergency responders. So important. National City, we're a tight-knit group here, and I can just see working, very closely, for example, on this pilot program with Frank Parra. There's so much more I learn as a traffic engineer in regards to mutual aid and what, the emergency responders' needs are. I mean, I can go out and time a corridor to maximize, progression for vehicles, but what do emergency responders need? So I think before you can even talk about regional efforts, it really needs to start internally at the local level and really coordinating between engineering, police, fire, emergency response.
Well, on that theme of coordinating and information and informing the public, I think we're at a conclusion point. My experience over 4 decades in transportation is that lives saved and accidents avoided do not make headlines. Transportation agencies, our land, particularly in aviation, found the FAA, I've criticized frequently of having a tombstone mentality. Instead of looking ahead, planning, they're all too often responding to the tragedy. When people die, there's mobilization. The news media report. They gather when there's been a tragedy. But when the remedy has been implemented, when you have a smooth transition, when the shielded response, as Chief McGregor said, has been implemented, the television cameras don't come there to record safe passage or lives saved. So it's incumbent upon all of us in the public arena to communicate to the citizens the safety benefits of the technology that we're using and the practices and the coordination and the drill exercises. And how do you, in your own respective ways, communicate to the citizens the safety benefits of what we've been discussing? And Mayor Morrison, let me put you on the front line again.
We have some limitations. I mean, we don't have our own local newspaper here or TV station, those type of things. So what we do is that we have neighborhood councils, and that we meet on a monthly basis throughout different segments of the city. And so, and at those we make different presentations, including our police, our fire, emergency services, all make presentations, and then we also have quarterly breakfasts for the city as a whole, and where we make presentations allowing people to know all the different things that are going on and getting input from them also. I mean, it's one thing for us, we may know the technologies, we may know all the different programs that are out there, but we don't know their individual neighborhood and their individual intersection nowhere near as well as they do. And so hearing that back from them is extremely important. So there's a lot of two-way communication. We're fortunate that we can still be, quote unquote, the big city. At the same time, we can still have that small city feel and the community feel, and so we try to capitalize on that.
Expert. Let me go on to Frank Para and Steve, you're both National City.
Yeah, I think I would just, Frank Barr here, National City, I would echo the mayor's comments. Clearly the monthly neighborhood council meetings, and we just presented a couple months ago more updates there regarding many of the projects that we're doing here as far as the fire department goes. We have, of course, internal email, where people sign up at those breakfasts to receive those monthly blasts. We have, a common calendar that is distributed. And like the mayor stated, it is that small town kind of feeling here, and you're able to get the word out. But of course, we also, present this information as a city to, county chiefs and some of those regional meetings to really, get the discussion going and the planning through our, disaster council.
Steve?
Steve Manganello. Yeah, to follow up, a lot of these are project specific. One thing that comes to mind, for me is this citywide Safe Routes to School program that we slowly implemented over the last 8 years, and as part of that, we spend a lot of time working with the actual principals in the school districts, presenting at parent-teacher association meetings, and really it's to give updates on what are the new projects near your schools, what are the benefits, and also opportunities for parents and community members to participate and volunteer, to serve as safety patrols, for example, along walking routes to school. So for us, putting the extra effort in really having that partnership with the local schools in the district, we've really seen some positive results. So I think anytime you can kind of have a citywide program that focuses on schools or safety or what have you, I think it goes a long way.
Well, you touched a subject close to my heart. I authored the Safe Routes to School program in 2005 Safety Lou legislation, and Safe Routes is now in 10,000 schools around the country, and millions of students participating, and they're doing exactly what you said, Steve, engaging in citywide planning and partnerships for safety. Arthur Dock and Chief McGregor from Mesa.
Sure. This is Arthur, City of Mesa. We actually, it's funny you should mention Safe Routes to School. Our person who is our safety educator, technically she's a communications marketing specialist, but I believe she used to work for the fire department. She's actually at one of those sessions today in another city. And again, this activity is just one part of what she does as far as going out there and working with the public, and the information about the things that we do in transportation in general, including these specific things we're talking about today, are shared along those lines, as well as our management sharing with our council and other levels of management on up from where I sit, that we get the information out there. And then, of course, like many larger cities or any city out there now, we have the website where we put information out there. What is that thing up there on the signal? How does that work when the emergency vehicle comes along? So there are multiple avenues that the information does get out, and hopefully as people become more educated, they become a little more aware of their surroundings and that these things are happening.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Chief McGregor.
I'd just like to add on to what Arthur's already said, and basically we do utilize information about some of the benefits that we have with the traffic preemption out there when we're doing surveys, community surveys, when we're doing reports, generating response times and things like that. We always like to bring up the fact that some of the tools that we've been allowed to purchase and put in place and how we feel those are helping us keep our response times down.
Well, thank you very, very much. Those are all splendid examples of local initiative, ingenuity, and adaptability to unique circumstances, but informing the public, so critically important. That brings us to the conclusion of our seminar on the web on safety, on greening the response to emergency operations in metropolitan areas and coordination among local jurisdictions. I want to thank our participants, Mayor Ron Morrison of National City, Frank Para, Emergency Services for National City, Steve Manganiello for Traffic Management in National City, Arthur Dock, the ITS Specialist for Traffic at Mesa, Arizona, and Deputy Chief of Fire Operations, Bruce McGregor, also of Mesa, Arizona. Thank you all for giving so much of your time and your expertise and your wealth of experience on these subject matters. That concludes our discussion. Jim Oberstar, signing off.
Thank you for attending today's discussion. If you'd like further information or have a question, please submit using the button below. This webinar has been recorded and will be posted to the USDOT Region IX program portal. Be safe and goodbye.